let's talk about trade schools. So, a couple of things on trade schools. If your child is headed towards a trade school, couple of things they might want to do. Okay, number one, multiple ways for trade schools. You can start trade school at 15. Some schools are 16, some are 15. They can start immediately in a trade school at that age. Now, if they do smarter by one degree is actually just added in a higher degree for your trade schools now. So like you go into a trade and you learn, say, electrician, right? And your child learns electrician. They could be an electrician at 18 and get started, which should make decent money. But then there's a problem where without a bachelor's degree, an electrician is stuck to a certain point. So he's got to get a higher degree in order to be able to get into management, like continue his career. Smarter by one degree is just added in an entire program for trades to get that higher degree so your kids can be starting higher in trades. So they can be an electrician with a bachelor's by management by 20. And so just depends on how hard they work. It might, if they do one class a semester versus three classes a semester, it's completely in their control. And so you can do that. So smarter by one degree for trades, or your kid can just start at 15 to 16 and do a trade. And they don't even have to do high school once again. Okay. So this is why like all 12 years of school can be done in 4, which is why you don't rush in the beginning and don't drag it out at the end. This is like the ultimate my homeschool village, Becky, according to Becky, what homeschooling is like. Don't start them early. They don't need it. Don't drag it out longer than they need. Get their education hard and fast in that 8 to 14 years, and then let them grow up at the pace they need to grow up. Don't rush them. If they need to be a kid longer, by all means, let them be the kid longer, right? But the ideal is that you've let him be a kid for so long until the age 8 that now they dive into education and then they dive in and then they hit about 14. They're like, I'm done diving in. Can I now specialize? And that's when they go into trades. That's when they go into college. That's when they go into, and they start in that. And it's a whole different mindset. It's a little more intimidating, but the truth of it is the whole process is easier. It fits the child's natural abilities. Up until the last 100 years, children were apprenticed out at 12, 11, 12, 13 years old. They were apprenticed out. And now we don't do that anymore. And they're bored out of their minds because they're not being challenged. They're not getting that apprenticeship. Has anybody heard the story, Hannah and Samuel? Okay, I'm going to do a Bible story here. It just drives me crazy to hear it at church because they always talk about how Hannah prayed for a son and promised God that if she would be given a son, she would then return him to him. And then the scripture says, when he was weaned, she returned him. And everybody's like, he was like 18 months, 2 years. No, he wasn't. He was 12, right? Because back then, when you were weaned from your mother, that meant you were old enough to apprentice with someone, and they would apprentice with a priest, with a blacksmith, with a farmer. They would learn a skill, they would grow into it. And then that is how the natural body works. A child at that age wants an apprenticeship. So a trade is a great way to do that. College is a great way to do that. And so we are raising our children to be apprenticed at the proper age when they're ready. And that doesn't mean that they have to get a diploma. That doesn't mean they have to finish high school. That doesn't mean there are so many ways to do this and get around the systems. The systems are there to control us. And guess what? There's a lot of ways to get around them. That is my expertise. How do you get around the systems? Oh, I got you.